What's going on? This is Jesse from the band Stick to Your Guns. We're from California, and we'll be touring Australia at the end of January into February. So we'll be going everywhere, not just the major cities. So be sure to check if we're coming near you and get your ass out there.
Beautiful. Jesse, thanks for joining us today, brother.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right, pleasure. So, as you say, Stick to Your Guns return to Australia for run and shows very soon, starting in Brisbane on January 24th, before going through the Gold Coast, Newcastle, Sydney, Wollongong, Melbourne, Geelong, Adelaide, and finishing in Perth on February the 3rd. So she's not far off now, mate. Are you packed and ready to go?
No. I pack light. I'm a light packer, so I'm not stressed about the packing. The travel stresses me out. I'm not a good plane guy. Flying scares me. So that 15-hour or 14-hour flight, whatever the hell it is it's a brutal one. But I've done it many times before, so I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
So speaking of flying, bro, like you guys are no strangers to traveling. So name me 2 non-essential items that you always take with you when you go on tour.
Non-essential?
Non-essential.
Books. Don't bring books. I bring books all the time, and it's just like I feel like I'm in 8th grade again with like a 150-pound backpack, just like, throwing my shoulders out of socket now that I'm, getting older there. But yeah, no books. And so now I have an iPad. I was able to get an iPad, so I just load everything up onto there, and that's books are no more.
Very cool. And are these going to be your first shows of 2024?
Yes, they will. This is the first shows of 2024, and man, I don't think we've been back to Australia in 5 years. I mean, I know the pandemic kind of makes that that time a bit longer, but I'm ready to get back.
Yeah, very cool. So the tour is going to see you play your 4th album, Diamond, in full. So why are you celebrating that particular album?
So we knew we always wanted to do a 10-year thing, but we for that album specifically, I think this was kind of like a in terms of our, if you want to call it a career or whatever term you want to use, that was a pretty path changing album that we put out. A lot of things started really happening for us after that, and I think people kind of started connecting with the band in a bit of a different way than they were before, maybe. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to kind of celebrate that, because I kind of say it in every interview, but I want to make sure I reiterate the point that, like, Stick to Your Guns never really set out to do anything profound. We just wanted to kind of speak our truth and do our thing as a band, and it's not the band that creates a meaningful album. It's the receiver, it's the listener who gives these albums any sort of meaning whatsoever. You know what I mean? So I just feel grateful that we have people from all over the world who gave this album any sort of meaning whatsoever. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what is some of your memories from making that album, bro? Was it a good process? Or?
It was, and we had just kicked out a member, and we got Josh, who's now a crucial member of Stick to Your Guns, and so there was that kind of turning point as well of getting these new members in, and or that new member specifically, and we recorded that album with Bill Stevenson, who's the drummer of the Descendants and Black Flag, and that was a bucket list kind of thing, and to be able to pick his brain and the whole process was just like a really creative and just like energized process, and there's nothing better than leaving the studio with like a finished album that you're so proud of, and you got to make sure that's at the forefront.
Yeah. So it's been described as a genre-bending album, bro. So was that something that you set out to do when you made it, or did it just happen along the way?
I mean, we've always been that kind of band, just because like we kind of have this weird, straightforward kind of hardcore thing, but then we also sing, you know what I mean? And we have some parts that maybe hardcore kids would consider metal, you know what I mean? But I don't think metal fans would consider it metal. So, you know what I mean? Like I want to make sure I'm being respectful to all genres and everything, but yeah, I mean, I think what was important with us is we just have an eclectic group of tastes across our members. So that was just bound to kind of create a different kind of sound, I don't think we were trying. We weren't in, that wasn't the intention, but I think that's just what happened, Yeah,
cool. So how did you go playing the whole album front to back, mate? Like when you made it, I couldn't imagine that you actually planned on playing the whole lot one day. So Like the first time you did it, like did it come together easy, or is it a difficult thing to do?
Well, the relationship between the band and label, doesn't matter what band, doesn't matter what label, I would say 99% of the time is a very confrontational relationship. So when it comes to writing an album front to back, when you hand it into the label, and granted, I'm speaking in generalities. I'm sure there's exceptions to this rule here and there. It doesn't. They're gonna want it the way that they want it. You know, they're invested in that. They're gonna feel entitled to take your thing and rearrange it in a way that makes them happy. And if you're in an agreement with a label, I mean, that's just kind of what you're signing up for. You know what I mean? And so you gotta, you know, what do they call a good compromise is when everyone is unhappy. So
I've got to remember that. You released a special vinyl edition of the album called Decade Edition in 2014. That one had 3 bonus tracks, mate. So are you going to be playing those bonus tracks as well?
No, we're just doing the original release. The Decade Edition, in hindsight, it was confusing to call it Decade Edition because it almost makes it sound like the album had been out for 10 years when it only had been out for, I don't know, 2 years. But that was our 10-year anniversary of us being a band. And so we felt like we put that out and added a couple other songs and shit. But yeah, we're just going to be playing the original ones.
So on that album, mate, like, do you feel that it's aged well? Like, are the songs on it still relevant?
I mean, they are to me. You know, relevant musically, I would say, and then still relevant lyrically, unfortunately in some ways. But you know, I think so. I mean, I'm still finding relevance in it, but I think that's just because I've been playing these songs for 12 years straight. You know what I mean? So it's almost in some kind of weird way become morphed into a part of like my identity. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's you know, the songs eventually just become who you are, and yeah, so.
Yeah. Are you going to be bringing See You Space Cowboy out with you for the tour, mate? Like, why bring those particular guys?
Well, See You Space Cowboy have always been friends of ours, and so any chance we get to be able to tour with friends, because that's not always the option because everyone's schedules are always different, right? And so, you know, you obviously go for the bands that you want the very, you know, you make a list and then you prioritize that list. And See You Space Cowboy was at the top of that list, if not the first choice, the second, or, you know, whatever. But we are absolutely stoked to be bringing them in, and I love the band. I think that they're doing something interesting, you know, and I think that they're doing something kind of thought provoking as well. And so, you know, that's always going to be kind of my taste. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're a good, fun bunch of guys too. Like, I interviewed him about a month ago, and I was pissing myself laughing the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, they're definitely funny for sure.
So Stick to Your Guns made your first visit to Australia back in 2009, mate. So how would you say the band's changed from then till now?
Not much has changed. I got to be honest. And again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you know, it's like I just turned 36. I've started this band when I was 17 or maybe even 16. Holy shit. And, you know, in a weird way, there's been cool parts about the fact that like, it's kept me young. You know, I still feel like this is kind of the same kid that started the band, you know? You know, obviously I've been through some shit in the last 20 years, but like, we all have, and part of growing up and part of navigating the world is that can be scary, but I feel privileged that I was able to navigate it and experience it in this avenue, you know, being able to travel and meet people from all different backgrounds and languages and shit. That's not something that everybody gets. So I try not to take it for granted, you know?
Yeah. So aside from playing Diamond in full while you're out here, mate, what can fans expect from Stick to Your Guns on the shows?
I don't know, just a good time. Like, we're all going to be in shorts because it's, I mean, here's the thing. I'm in Los Angeles. So if anyone hears me complaining about it being cold, they're going to beat my ass because it's definitely not cold. But for LA, it's been pretty cold as of late. So I'm ready to get into the sun and go swimming and just kind of hang out and play fun shows, you know?
So on the flip side of that, bro, like as a band, what do you guys expect from your crowds? Like, do you expect anything at all, or?
I used to, you know, I think I used to really expect like, hey, if I'm going to come out here and I'm going to run around and jump around, then you, at the very least, you guys need to be doing the same. And I think that's a kind of a stupid mentality. And maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I don't really I don't really expect much. It's like, if you want to pay your entry fee, you come in here and enjoy it the way you want, you know, especially because just because someone's standing in the crowd staring at you doesn't mean they're not enjoying the music, you know. I feel like this genre has always been a pretty participatory genre, right? People get on stage and they jump off. Exactly, yeah. They're moshing and all that kind of shit. So sometimes when people aren't moving around so much, it can be interpreted as maybe not a good show. But you know, I played plenty of great shows where people are preferring to take it easy rather than beat the fuck out of each other. So, you know, there's good and bad to both, I guess. But I have no expectations. Just I just want people to come and have a good time. Oh shit, sorry.
So your tour over here finishes on February the 3rd. What's next for Stick to Your Guns after that, mate?
We head to Southeast Asia, and we're going to Thailand, we're going to Philippines, and we're going to Singapore, which I've never been to. And I'm very excited about that. I kind of Stick to Your Guns has played Africa. You know, we were one of the first American hardcore bands to play Kenya. Yeah, if not the first one. And so we like to go to the places we've never been to. And so anytime we can go to a place that we haven't been, like we're over the moon. So it's a lot of bands have been to that area, obviously, but it's taken us a long time to get there, and we're stoked about that.
Beautiful. All right, Jesse. Well, thanks very much for your time today, bro. The tour kicks off on January 24th in Brisbane. So take care of yourself till then, mate, and see you over here.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.